Good, Charles.
All right, very good. Hey, good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful, cloudy, sunny day here in Southern California, and I appreciate seeing you all this morning on Sunday on a weekly meeting. Um, the Brazilian Spiritist Center uh, is an organization that respects all religions and spiritual traditions. Before we begin, I'd like to invite you for the opening prayer, which I'm not exactly sure who's been assigned to it, but I would invite a volunteer.
I guess would be me, huh?
Oh, amazing. Very good.
All right, join me in closing your eyes. Let us first give thanks to our beloved Jesus Christ, Mother Mary, our beloved Father God. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for this blessed opportunity to be here. Thank you for allowing us another day. We ask that you bless us this morning as we begin our service. Encompass us in your divine light and love. Allow us to become brighter by understanding the lesson that we have coming before us and walk away with love and peace in our heart and our mind. And may you bless the opening of our service today. In your name, so be it. And so it
Thank
is.
you so big. Thank you, Regina. Well, BSH believes our beliefs around scientific, philosophical, and religious principles of spiritism, as postulated by Allan Kardec. Emmanuel, our mentor, taught that knowledge and love are the wings of our spiritual evolution. So, as you participate in this meeting today, we call your attention for that speaking participation is very important. Your mentor is supporting with insights from the speaker, reflection, and working along with the weak to sustain the energy you are receiving while in the center. So in the second part, we have what we call the hands-on healing, which is a healing moment where we close today's activities by allowing spiritual intervention. Okay, Mark will post us the daily activities of the center, which you can find at www.bshcenter.org. That's the website where all the activities are listed. And I just
One
want to
second.
highlight to you that we have activities on a daily basis. So if you want to participate on any of these activities, just inform yourself about the time and who's running that activity for that day. But we have a daily prayer that is a group that prays not only for themselves, but for those that are participating and connected spiritually and blessing not just individually, but the entire planet. We also have services, fraternal assistance, which is an individualized session with one of our mediums that can assist with you on every Wednesday. And you can schedule an appointment for that, and you're going to be receiving individualized readings. But anyways, the collection that we have addresses several books from the Spiritist doctrine, and we study each book very carefully. and we have several that is going on at this moment. So without any further ado, I invite you to visit the website and familiarize yourself with our community. And today we have a special presentation. Our friend Mark will be the presenter of today's session. And he's going to be speaking about the book, Our Daily Bread. And the message of today, I'll leave it up to you, Mark, to explain to our listeners what we're going to hear. So please, everyone, make sure that your microphone is muted during the presentation, but let's see. God bless
Can
you.
you all, thank you, Charles. Can you all see this effectively?
Yes.
Okay. And you can hear me clearly. Good.
Yeah,
Okay.
just
So,
the very bottom that you have in pink, we don't see that it's blocked out.
yeah, I know.
Okay.
I
But
have
other
no
than that,
idea why my screen is doing that, but that is what it is. Hopefully, there's not a whole lot of important stuff at the bottom of my slides. So, a little background. This was supposed to be done next week. Chapter 1 of our Daily Bread was going to be done today by Tanya. And it was going to kick off a new weekly approach to Spiritist education. Not in the traditional Kardec volumes, not in the traditional manner in which Chico Xavier would transcribe from Emmanuel, not in the traditional manner in which any other would be transcribing or translating from an original language into English for us. This book in particular, Our Daily Bread, are short chapters. There's quite a volume of them. Each one is important and stands on its own. Collectively, it's absolutely as vital on understanding the entire range of Spiritist principles. I encourage you all, if you don't already have it, to get this book. But it's interesting that, as the spirits would have it, that I sat down literally 48 hours ago and put this together with a spirit guiding me. I don't know why it came out like it is about to, but it did. And then I find out Tanya is not able to do the chapter 1 presentation. She's already built. And I was asked to step in. And so that's what I'm doing. No rehearsal, no refinement, no bits and pieces. It's fresh thought. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays. All right. So this chapter is titled Pause and Think. And it begins with a Bible quote from John 10:25 that Jesus said, "The miracles I do in my Father's name speak for me." And if you just pause and think about what is Jesus trying to tell us in this phrase that John has put into the Bible. So the first caution is remember that the original language, whenever Jesus is quoted, it may have been distorted through all these centuries of translation and redefinitions. For example, the word miracles was often meant to mean unexplained good. All kinds of miracles, rain after drought, etc., etc. So when you think of, doggone it, just try something. No, maybe. Okay, so when you think of this phrase, speak for me, does that infer that Jesus is human and he's acting always in his Father's name? Or perhaps you think that phrase, speak for me, relative to the miracles he did, means something entirely different. Any thoughts? Anyone? Now or later? But this is going to cause you to pause and think. Because as I bring you the message of the day as it's originally written, we're going to break it apart, allowing for us all to pause and think. So, as I said, as I put this together, we all know that Emmanuel's writing style, along with the translation realities from French or from Brazilian Portuguese, can make reading and understanding almost as difficult as reading and understanding Jesus himself must have been. He always spoke in parables, kind of like Spiritism literature at times. So, again, in preparation for today, I thought each of these slides that follow are separate paragraphs in the chapter. If you look at the book, you'll see these are all separate chapters, except one slide I combined two small segments together. But a lot gets said if you pause and think. So here's how we're going to do this. I'm going to call on one of you to read each paragraph aloud. And then the next slide will have a display of that same paragraph along with my thoughts and some questions I'll ask and for you to think about yourself. Robbie, turn on your mic and then just read along out loud.
Chapter 2, Pause and Think. The preoccupation of the ordinary individual relative to family traditions is commonplace as well as in the earthly endeavors to which they usually lend themselves, exalting the conventional position that distinguishes their personality.
Okay, so here's an example of a really deep sentence with multiple phrases and key words that causes you to pause and think. So there's some underlying words and phrases. There's some color techniques that I've used. And so let's dissect a little bit of this and you'll see what each of these slides that follow will be doing. So here's that original thing just as you just saw it. Let's talk about this word exalt. It means to raise in rank, to elevate, to glorify, to increase the effects or intensity. So what are we reading here? The preoccupation of the ordinary individual is commonplace, to which they usually lend themselves exalting the conventional position, elevating the normal position that distinguishes their personality. Okay, so you understand how that word exalt is being used here. Notice how many of the words with this lavender background are all about general aspects of humans, the ordinary individual, family traditions, commonplace, conventional. These are all applicable to all of us. And yet we all know we're individuals. And so what's being communicated here, the earthly endeavors, what we do in our lives, exalt our individual personalities. We elevate ourselves based on what we do with our lives. That makes us individual, not commonplace, not general aspects. Ela, how about this one? Hey, Regina, try it.
However, in true life, no one is known for similar processes, each spirit brings with him the vivid history of his own acts, and only by his own actions and achievements is he known for his merits or demerits.
So pause and think. And of course, the word his is the classical reference to humans. That's the original phrasing. So again, pause and think about what applies to everybody and what applies to only you. We are all individuals living in societies of commonality with generally agreed upon behavioral normalcy. In other words, in order to get along, we don't walk down the street and punch each other in the face. We smile. What we do with our lives distinguishes us in some manner, positively or negatively. Oh, and again, there's a not having time to go back and fix in some manner. And so, Spiritism teaches us we aren't supposed to keep score. We're kind of supposed to be conscious of doing the right thing more often than we don't. But really, what we know, there will be a final review when we transition to the afterlife. Some kind of accountability where merits or demerits, in essence, are reviewed. And
With this disclosure, we do not wish to affirm that the word is deprived of indisputable advantages. Nonetheless, it is imperative to comprehend that the verb has tremendous potential, which we receive by the infinite mercy as divine resource. It is indispensable to realize what we are achieving with this gift from the eternal being.
thank you. Okay, if that paragraph doesn't cause you to pause and think, then, why are we here? There's a lot in this paragraph. We do not wish to affirm. What an interesting phrase. Does that phrase mean you could reword it and say, we wish to deny or dispute? Is that what that means? With this disclosure, we wish to deny or dispute that the word is deprived of indisputable advantages. Okay? Now, what is the word? Are we talking about the Bible? Are we talking about Jesus' teaching? Is the word something relative to the previous paragraph? This one confused me. This one made me think, okay, this is going to mean something individual to each of us if we take the time to pause and think. What does the reference of the word mean? And are we really wishing to deny the impact of the word? The word is deprived of indisputable advantages. Well, what the heck does that mean? Indisputable advantages. Let's see now. The word is deprived of indisputable advantages. If we think we are better because we are Christians, that's not going to be affirmed. How's that for an interpretation? I don't know. That's what I came to. Makes you really pause and think, what is really being said here? This phrase, it is imperative to comprehend that the verb has tremendous potential. What do you think tremendous potential in reference to this verb? Like I said, there's a lot of interesting stuff here. Okay, we go on. He goes on and says, we received by the infinite mercy as a divine resource. Okay, we've been taught this before in a variety of different spiritist texts. Is this really just another way to refer to the divine light as a gift from Jesus that exists within us all? That's how I looked at this infinite mercy phrase. It's part of us as humans. It is indispensable to realize what we are achieving with this gift. In other words, if we pay attention to ourselves, we understand the positive nature. It's indispensable to realize what we are achieving with this gift. Personally, I get this. I'm a different person than I was when Spiritism first found me. I have begun to realize this gift. Pause and think. How do you interpret this phrase? Let's see. Sheila, you back?
Yeah,
Good. Could you read both of these, please?
sure. Chapter 2, pause and think. In that respect, the affirmation of Jesus is dressed in imperishable beauty. What would we think of the Savior who would institute such a regulations for humanity? Sorry, I'm not in a great light. without the sharing of difficulties and impediments. Wow.
Good. Thank you.
What would
Again,
we think of the
deep,
Savior?
deep stuff here causes you to pause and think. What a great chapter title.
Well, just the word regulation for humanity.
Okay. Okay. So now you see what I did with this. So this gift of Jesus, the divine light that is within us all, is complete. It includes the brightest of lights and the darkest of darks. How do we use this ability? Okay. Now, this phrase institutes what would we think of a savior who would institute such regulations for humanity without sharing its difficulties and impediments? Well, let's just take a quick look at Jesus's life, his own history, birth, growth, love, joys, community, injustices, character assassinations, pain and suffering, and death. Gee, that sounds like most of us, doesn't it? But here we go back to this first part. The brightest of lights and the darkest of darks. Well, we got to get a sense through through what's been reasoned and written about Jesus's life and sins. Start asking ourselves, if he exists within all of us, how are we using this ability? He went through it all, and look at the impact he's had after 2,000 years. Let's see, who else is on this call? Sunshine, have you joined? No.
Yes.
Oh, you have. Good. Could you please read this?
Jesus Christ initiated his divine mission among peasants and laborers. He lived among irritable doctors of Mosaic law and rebellious sinners. He walked among the sick and the afflicted. He ate stale bread with the humble fishermen and fulfilled his saintly task amidst two thieves. I just want to say that I have a different version of our daily bread, which is much clearer and very different words are being used. So just FYI.
I know. I should have said that as a disclaimer at the beginning because I knew there was another version that was better than the one I have. But that's okay. And I say better because it is easier to read. But again, each one of these paragraphs causes you to pause and think. The phrasing, the wording, etc. And this paragraph in particular made me reflect on our recent book studies, where we have touched on virtually all of this. In particular, the study that we're doing now with Paul and Stephen. He lived among the irritable doctors of Mosaic law and rebellious sinners. Now, what we read about in Paul and Stephen is after Jesus passed. And what it was like to live among the doctors of Mosaic law. And then all the stories that exist elsewhere, especially in all the biblical references about the fact that, and again, a critical part of Paul and Stephen is how could Christians be so comfortable amongst the sick and afflicted, or eating humble, or not, not protesting how his life ended. How would we do that in a similar situation? In Paul and Stephen, we now read about Stephen having this very same Jesus-like reality. What the earliest disciples was mimicking and, mimicking in a false way, mimicking as accurately as they could what Jesus meant and taught us. All these violet colored backgrounds, again, these are commonalities to all of us. Gina, I cannot tell you how blessed it was to hear the real quick reference yesterday of you doing the homeless trek, knowing that that's going on every week. It's who we are. It's what we do. It really made me pause and think. So ask yourself if this is true. Don't we all live with decisions to be made, hopefully with choices in order to exercise our free will? Isn't that what we're being given every day? How do we make the decisions based on others' opinions or recommendation? Do we just acknowledge them? Do we follow them because of who that recommendation was given by or who that opinion was given by, popular or otherwise? Or do we live our lives based on instinct and experiences of right versus wrong? It's a combination of this first one and this last one for me.
Hey, Mark,
Sir,
yeah, may I just make an observation?
of course.
That phrase that irritable doctors almost of law, but they're talking about Mosaic. But here's the difference. When you talk about doctors, doctors are those that create their own idea. So they reach that level of being a doctor. That means that they are creating knowledge. So irritable doctors implies that those Pharisees or um, that are being referred to are the ones that would create new knowledge. So they had the ability to alter to whatever the teachings were. That's why they were irritable, because they cannot agree to somebody coming in and saying that, no, this is not true. The truth, like Jesus said. Just an observation.
It's an excellent point. And again, what we know historically by the scholars who have studied this and pointed out is, whatever actually occurred during the life and times of Jesus, whatever we are reading at any time, you have to recognize that it's been changed, intentionally or otherwise, reinterpreted through multiple centuries, through multiple entities that mandated, certain edits in the Bible, certain edits in phrases for whatever purposes. So it's really hard for us to get to the root of it all.
Yes, so the possibility of the truth being corrupted is really real. It's a real condition, yeah.
But again, our entire life as a human being is full of these moments where within us, we were faced with a decision: go left, go right, go up, go down, whatever the case may be, blue or red. Choose carefully, type of thing. Well, how do you make those choices? Is it based on what others think? Is it based on our instinct and being in touch with the divine light within us so that we can truly calculate in our brain instantly right versus wrong and go the correct direction? I don't know. Everybody's different, but there's a commonality. We all go through that.
But what we're
Well,
sorry.
discernment is part of that. Knowledge and love are critical parts of that. Go ahead, Sunshine.
Well, we learned through Spiritism that we need to discern right from wrong, and the best way we do it is by following the golden rule. So if we still walk and act by the drumbeat of others and their opinions of what we should do and shouldn't do, we're obviously not on the right track. And I'm not judging it. I'm just saying, you threw out that question. The answer is clear. We are supposed to follow Jesus's teachings, and the golden rule is our baseline.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. And, these are challenges. Let me make sure. Oh, yes. Let me get through this and then I'll give you a further comment on what we were just talking about. Sure. Okay, I don't have the view of everyone in front of me. Kathy, are you there and live? If you can, how about this one?
Okay.
Whoops. There you go.
Yeah. What more can you ask for? If you long for an easy life and distinguished positions in the Word, remind yourself of the Master. Pause and think.
Well, this is the last paragraph of chapter 2. He's given us a variety of things to pause and think about. And now he gets to this point. What more could you ask for? So how many of us are living our lives looking for ease, simplicity, whatever it may be, titles, mom of the year, dad of the year, whatever? Pause and think about the man who lived that life. And if we are truly living the life with the mindset of WWJD, what would Jesus do? We pause and think. We are not all the same. We all progress uniquely. My realities, despite being aged, my reality is completely different than Dave's reality. We all progress uniquely. We all learn what we learn when we're meant to learn it. But isn't it interesting that we all do this within the structures that are intended for all of us? So, for example, Spiritist centers, we're following a structure. It's based on the Kardec 5 volumes, and it goes from there. It's intended for everyone, but we all interpret it differently. So ask yourself this question. We humans with aspiration, goals, and objectives, did Jesus have any of those? What was his vision of his future? And how did he possibly define it? Were his initiatives and actions and all the charitable things he did and all the quote unquote miracles people witnessed, was that all part of his plan, or did that just happen? It was God's plan, and he was simply executing it. There are times in my life where I honestly think that. However, I got put in a particular position at a point in time, and I'm in one of them right now. It's like it was God's plan, and I'm just executing on the plan. Parts of me just said, don't even question it. How many of you feel that way? But I go back to this one. Did Jesus have aspirations, goals, and objectives? Kind of like this easy life and distinguished position question.
Yeah, Mark.
Sir.
Again, the word master is very
Yeah.
important as well.
Yeah.
It's somebody that have obtained the full knowledge. And so master is not like a doctor that creates new information. But master like, okay, I understand, I know. So Jesus got to the point where he was in communion with God's will. So that's where his mastery is present. He mastered that, and he knew.
It is also interesting that in virtually all scriptures, when he's presented with a question or a situation or what have you, he has this moment to pause.
Right.
He reflects. It could be instant, but he does not do things snap result, snap response, snap reaction. That isn't at all how he's portrayed in virtually every situation.
Let me throw another.
That's it. So that's an interesting mastery in my mind.
Well, let me interject with another food for thought. What would be the perspectives in another planet? Jesus was not raised on planet Earth. So he been around for many, many other planets, so different perspectives. So he's way, way advanced in a sense that he really knows what's all about. And I'm assuming that there may be others that are in a higher position than him. So what do we say about that?
Well, again, if we don't challenge what you just said, if we totally agree with what you just said, then it's highly likely that No, I wouldn't say highly likely. It's entirely possible that there are other elevated spirits,
Yeah.
higher, lower, equal, whatever the case may be, on other planets. But again, kind of interesting to think about that for Jesus, because if in fact that came true, then this question really becomes interesting. Why did he come here? What was his vision of the future for Earth and humanity? Are we actually doing it
Well,
as slowly as we are? Are we actually doing it?
well, he actually reached that level of elevation that he was given the responsibility to create a new set of location for spiritual development. So he's just one of the members of this huge orchestra of enlightened spirits that are closer and closer to God. Yeah.
So,
Well, again,
can I?
as I, oh, please do. Because I'm at that point now. I just want to say one more thing in terms of this was not an easy thing to write. There was a lot of pause and think going on as I sat down to do this. And so if you are on the schedule to be able to speak and present from this book, take your time. Take your time. This is deep stuff, even though it's 1 or 2 or 3 pages. Go ahead, Sunshine.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's helpful to see the quote from John, the works I do in my Father's name bear witness of me in the context of when and where it happened. Apparently it happened in the temple when he was questioned, and it was one of his last talks or addresses to the public before his crucifixion. And those he talked to were questioning him, but Jesus had already revealed his identity as the Messiah, and he had done it both through his words as well as his works, which means the miracles, right? And they were all done in the Father's name. So when they questioned him, he points back to, look what I've done. And then Emmanuel goes into saying, yeah, the words that Jesus used, or in general in this world, are important, but look at what you're doing. It's what we're learning, right? That it's judge me more by my actions than by my words. And that's essentially the message that Jesus is giving. Look at what I've done. Believe me, I'm the Messiah. It's not, don't look at my words alone. And so then Emmanuel goes in and says, okay, you come from this country and you have this title and this, that, and the other. But ultimately, that's immaterial because it depends on how you conduct yourself. And don't expect that if you're a doctor or whatever is highly, or a politician, that you're better than the rest of us. No, it's about what do you do with the gifts that were given to you, and of course the challenges that were given, that we created for ourselves as well. So does that help? Does that make sense what I said?
That's absolutely brilliant, and thank you for that, because I will tell you this again, not an excuse, but if I had had another week, I wonder if I would have done what Sunshine just did, is put this biblical quote in context. Would I have gone back to the Bible, pulled up John 10, and read everything that preceded 25? Then I would have had probably a better or different understanding of what this phrase means. I say that for the benefit of everyone. If you're going to be presenting, be prepared. This book is deep.
It is. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Sunshine. That's very good.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Any comments or questions?
And I want to say, anyone who has this copy, it's clearer. The chapter is clearer in the English language. And of course, in Portuguese, it's probably even better.
I honestly
Which
think
volume
this was,
is that she has versus what you
I
have?
don't know, it looks like this.
let's see, there's multiple iterations there.
I think
Okay.
it's more recent than what.
I think that this might have been one of the first ones
It's
that
2010.
was on my list of purchases.
Yeah, this is 2010. I know. The translation.
One more thing that if you notice that I would have liked to have had time to do would be to pull other references to these meanings and these phrases from other Spiritist literature, especially literature from Emmanuel, where he takes this basic theme and goes off in I could have referred whatever book it was, type of thing. But again, that's what happens when you're guided by the spirits to get something together. And then right now, today, this is it. And I also knew when the conversation with Tanya took place that okay, every other spiritist on the call is going to contribute to the content. So I wasn't worried about that. That's usually what happens. So I thank you all for your thoughts and comments and readings and everything.
Well, very good, Mark. We appreciate so much your diligent effort to do this presentation. Very enlightening, I would say. But anyways, our meeting now comes to a point where anyone can make a comment, ask questions, and get involved. What were you able to extract or to take away from this conversation today? I'd like to see that.
Well, what I'm getting is, humility, to not attach myself to my identity and family heritage, and all those things, the family tree that may lead to fame. That's all beside the point. It's really, who am I, where it's the two wings that help me ascend to God, right? So where's my knowledge and my wisdom, and am I continue to study? And how am I putting it into practice? There's no salvation without charity, and the moral charity is indulgence towards others' imperfections, and it's benevolence towards all and everything, and forgiveness. So where am I at that?
Yeah, simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping it simple. What I got out of it was it's important not to become prideful. And when it comes to simplicity, again, it's that golden rule. You want to treat others the way you want to be treated. It sounds easy to say, but when it's actually put into action, it's something to pause about. You have to think about it. And then when you get stuck, because I think that was one of the other questions, well, what would you say or do or something? You have to, there's that question, what do you think Jesus would do? Well, of course, Jesus always takes the high road. But for us, we'd have to think about whether or not we want to sit with feeling guilty because we didn't take the high road. So yeah, all of these lessons do cause pause, I think. They're great. Emmanuel's amazing to me. So, and I do appreciate him very much, even though he has a body now. His work will live on.
Well, Virginia, you speak of having self-indulgence, being understand of yourself that we are not there yet. We're still on the way. So I appreciate you bringing that up. Very good. Thank you. The floor is open. Anyone?
Throw one more tangent into this content. And it's not only what we do or don't do, as is written in many places. It's also when we do nothing and we could have or should have.
Right.
And that I will tell you that it is that factor after this many years of spiritism, after, this many years living, that's the factor that hits me the hardest. That when Judgment Day comes, that's the list that's going to really be prominent. It's not what I did or didn't do. I acknowledge all of that, but the humbling part is to think about what I could have, what I should have.
Hey, I love everyone's comments. After listening to them, all this is a good reminder that we're aware like I'm trying to be more aware of myself on a daily basis. And with that awareness, what I can do a little better, where I can make improvements, but also on the same is not to get in the habit of getting down on myself, throwing shame my direction. This is a learning process, and it shouldn't, from my perspective, be something that I start getting too down on myself. If a lesson's hard to learn, it's hard to learn. But that doesn't mean I view it as failure on my end. It means I have to be a little more aware that I don't fully understand it. It's an invitation to dig in a little deeper, but it's not one to get down on myself anymore because I've fallen into that pattern at times where you get frustrated when you keep repeating something you don't really want to do anymore. But like I say, it's the messages come in when they come in. You stay on your path, you keep making the effort, the progress will come. And I really starting to understand more as well the nightly review, stay focused for me on my day and start practicing on the ability of letting it go after the review, not allowing this to be baggage I continue to carry with me because I didn't like how it turned out. Review, see where I can make the improvements and start to learn to let it go. It's like Regina said, it's simple, but yet it's hard all in the same. And finding that ability to be in the moment more, I think is very important too. Like I've been more aware of myself lately and just monitoring where my thoughts are to try to, see where I can make progress. I find out that I'm either in the past or I'm in the future at the sacrifice of the moment. And when I'm able to consciously push those thoughts out, the present becomes very peaceful. And that reflection to me was like, I'm doing this all to myself constantly, shaming myself from the past and worrying about a future. And you need to be at this point, but you shouldn't be at that point. But if you just kind of filter some of that out, the moment can become a very peaceful place. So that's where I'm trying to figure out the balance to all this, but I appreciate all your comments.
Mhm.
Yeah, it really invites us to think, and that's what comes to me. It's an invitation to action. It's like we can make our own personal progress, but we are basically entangled in this network, just like a spider's web of connection with people in our lives, with other people, with my neighbor, my brother, my sister, that is part of this whole network. So the progress that I make, I'm also supporting the progress of others. I don't know if you can see that, but that's the image that I comes to mind. Very good.
Yeah. I don't see how anyone could read this book without pausing and thinking. And the fact that there's two different versions of the book gives one other pause, right? I heard that there's one for 2010, but Mark, I didn't hear the year for yours.
I don't have the book with me. I'm in Sacramento.
Okay.
I wrote the presentation and left the book at home.
Oh, okay. Well, it certainly gives me a lot of pause. And I have to reference back to that group that's meeting on Wednesdays with Paul and Stevens as well, because it makes you think too. And ever since starting that, I'm thinking about everything. and getting to the point of asking what a person said, that we've all experienced this, I believe, in individual conversations with people we know. What they said, is that what they meant? Did they mean what they said? Did you understand what they meant when they said it? All these kinds of things just open up my mind, especially in terms of interpretation of what's being said. So I'm thinking a lot about stuff. And even for that a section, Mark, that you had me read, I wanted to reflect on what I was reading.
See,
So
it's so funny because when I read the chapter through the first time, I went, all right, I got to go read chapter 1 before I understand what it is I'm reading here. And so then I go back and read chapter 2 again. I said, this is crazy. I'm not even sure. And then I broke it out into paragraphs, and all of a sudden it was bite size,
right.
Now I could really think about it.
And even when Charles mentioned about Jesus being irritated, no. Whatever the concern was, with the irritated doctors, right? Was that the doctors were irritated? Was Jesus irritated with the doctors doing what they were doing? And so Charles offered, kind of an extended expression, but it shows you there's multiple ways of seeing that. And we're not necessarily sure what that is, or what we should be thinking about when thinking about it. So we really have to pause and really think some more about what.
You bet. And again, what Sunshine pointed out about the biblical quote, there's a whole, you take it into context. If you read the passage before, then you understand why he said that at the end. Because I didn't take the time to do that. I let it stand on its own. So that's okay. It's a good
actually,
dialogue.
I thought that was good though, that when you said what you said in the little time that you had, that meant that more of us were on the same page, or at least starting off same beginning. So I thought that was okay that it came out that way.
And again, I just, one other thing for those of you who will be doing a presentation from this book, take your time, get it started early.
The good news is, Ken, the more you study Spiritism and Jesus, the more it always comes down to the same.
Yeah.
But you got to find out what the same is.
Gotcha.
And you have that in the back of your mind. It always makes sense.
Oh,
And another reminder is that the daily bread, the prayer says, give us today's bread, but it's not just the bread for the soul, but the bread for the matter as well. It's the material matter and the spiritual matter. So that's our daily bread. Oh, well.
Good
Any
stuff.
more comments?
Gina, I need to move on. So if you want me to do the meditation, it would be lovely if we could get it started.
Oh, yeah, I'm fine.
Ready.
Hope everybody has their water, because we can.
Yeah, let's take 1 minute.
1 minute. All right.
Very good.
1 minute. We're counting. 60, 59.
Is this one being recorded?
So behind the scenes, we could not figure out when Tiki's not available how to do a recording. So she figured out the best way to do it for this week, turn it on so the minute we start the meeting, it's recorded. Now we have to edit the recording to take out the unnecessary stuff.
Okay. So it's still recording.